Good day, everyone, and welcome to class again. I hope your week has been awesome, and basically, I remain Timmy I wish you your facilitator for MBA817 Business Environment. So we move on to our second to the last lesson for the session, and which is lesson 7, value system. And the topics we are going to cover for this lessons are we would actually discuss the meaning of value system. We'll talk about the value-based management. We're also going to talk about purpose of shared values, and lastly, developing shared values. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the meaning of value system. You should also discuss, you should also be able to discuss value-based management, and you should be able to describe the purpose of shared values, and lastly, understand and developing shared values. So basically, we will talk about what a value is. And I know a lot of us have different orientation of what a value is. Value to me actually means, our belief, or, our perception of how we value or how we take something. Do you understand? For instance, now, if you give a child a biscuit or a sweet, you know how that child will value, the eatables, because for their age, this is something that is valuable to them. So basically, your value has to do with, your belief of, how something is to you, how precious that thing is to you, and all that stuff. So for this particular lesson, we have so many, will I say, descriptive understanding of how value is being used. I know in most organizations, they would ask you, what is the organizational value? Do you understand? So what is their value? What is their belief? So, giving something to a child, like I said, the child is said to believe that this biscuit, is of value to him, because if he or she eats it, it's yummy, it's something that is nice. So value has to do with one's belief, one's cultural belief of how they see things. Yeah. So organizations have value which represent what it believes in and it's out to achieve. As part of its culture, shared value influence the way an organization operates and how employees behave. So basically, this unit, we are going to, discuss the importance of value system, in different narratives, the meaning, the value-based system, the purpose, and, how to develop a shared value system. So we move on to, the meaning of values. And like I said, I've given you my own perception, of what value means. And I know each and every one of you would have your own different narrative of what value is all about. And as we have in our course materials, values are enduring beliefs that a specific mode of conduct or end state of existence is personally or socially good, socially preferable to an opposite or converse mode of conduct or end state of existence. This definition was actually proposed by Wilkach and an early scholar of human values. So basically what he or she is trying to say here is that value has to do with one's belief, It can actually be personal, or it can actually be a social opposition. It depends on, whichever one is actually applicable to you. And it actually gives us a sense of right and wrong, good or bad. That's to how deep, a value is actually being seen as. It's when you are in an organization, obviously, and you see things that are not okay in the organization, and you know that this is not the organization's value, obviously you sense that that thing is wrong, and obviously you don't want to associate yourself with those kind of values because that is not of the organization. And when you see something that is right and you inculcate, or you know that these are the values of the organization, and you know at the end of the day that you know that those values are actually right, and it gives you a sense, you know, of belonging, and also that peace of mind, rather that you know you are actually inculcating the organization values. So basically, business have shown increasing interest in values over recent years. There's no organization that will not have their value system, you understand? They will have their belief. That's why you have the mission and vision in every organization, because that is what they believe in. So for every organization, you have a mission and vision. Those are their value system. Those are things that actually, you know, take them to that value system. And so basically, when an organization has that value system, you already know what the organization is. Before you go into any organization, obviously, before you collect the acceptance letter, obviously, most of their values, even getting to the office, the receptionist table, you would be able to see some structured things there that are glaring. Some of them will state, you know, their core values and what the organization stands for. So basically, if you are not in line with things like this, then you might not be able to fit into the organization. So as employees, you should be able to fit into your organization's value system, because if you don't have the same value system, or if you don't adhere to the same value system, then you know it's a big issue for you. So because values are general beliefs about right or wrong, they form the basis for ethical behavior. Yes, you know, value system actually forms the basis of ethical behavior. For instance, now if you go to a bank, and you see that everyone is actually corporately dressed. That's the value system, you know, of the banking industry, that you have to be corporately dressed. But if you go to a federal parastatal, they are not keen about being corporately dressed. All they want you to do is, you know, to come to the office and, you know, perform your duties or responsibilities at the end of the day. So even in a federal parastatal, you can see some federal parastatals, you see the way they dress. Maybe some people will wear their native, you know, from Monday to Friday, and some might dress semi-corporate. Some, you know, might just, you know, these are the value system anyway. These are what, you know, it has to do maybe in that culture, in the organization culture. And so we now have two types of values, and the first one, we'll just mention them. We have the instrumental and the terminal value. So we'll talk about the instrumental value. And the instrumental value actually reflects the means to achieve goals. That is, they represent the acceptable values to be used in achieving some end state. So this instrumental value actually talks about the means to be able to achieve goals. You know, this is the positive kind of value that working in an organization, the value there is to be able to achieve some certain things, some goals. And that means your goals should be aligned with the organization's value. Your goals and objective, you know, is for the organization. Do you understand? So it's a positive it's a positive value, you know, that has to do with achieving, you know, your organizational goals. Then we move on to terminal value, and this actually has to do with to represent the goals to be achieved or the end state of existence. And this one has to do with, you know, projecting those goals, you know, that needs to be achieved towards, you know, the end, you know, of every statement here. So basically, it has to do with, these are the things that we propose to do. their terminal goals. These are the long-term goals, that, the organizations propose to do. We have short-term goals, we have medium and long-term. So this one is futuristic goals for the organization. Where do you see the organization in 20 years, 30 years, So this is what, the terminal value, is talking about. So the terminal instrumental value, they work in concepts to provide individual with goals to strive for and accepted ways to achieve, the goals. So basically, every organizational goals also have to align with individual goals, because once you don't align your goals with the organization, then obviously you are going to have a big problem in that organization, and the organization also might have, a big problem with you. So it's always good to align your goals with that of your organization. So I guess we are done with talking about, the meaning of values, and also the two major types of values. So we move on to value-based management. And what do we understand by value-based management? Value-based management is basically an approach to managing in which managers establish, they promote and practice an organization's shared values. An organization's shared values are what the organization believes in and stands to achieve. So basically for managers, this value-based management, it's what managers actually, they seek, in terms of, establishing, promoting, and, practicing shared organization values. For instance, I know that obviously in most of your organizations, you guys would always have like either a retreat, or you have, how would I put it? You have a retreat, or you have like a workshop or something whereby, your supervisors or your managers would, actually retreat, the organization values, to each of the staff again. They talk about it, they emphasize on it all the time, so that, you keep that at the back of your mind to say, this is what the organization is expecting from me. So they need to share those values, with the employees all the time. That's why you have retreats in very good organizations, that they will need to reflect on what they've done, and also, talk about the organization values, so that everybody will be confirmed, to those values. So basically, these are value-based management, where the management would actually, promote and establish, the shared values of that organization. So the shared organization values form the organization culture and influence the way organization operates and how employees behave. Yes. So obviously this shared organization culture, they would actually make, conform employees, to behave in a certain way, because that's the way the organization has actually been tilted towards. We have an example here, and it says here that, for instance, a company which is called Patagonia, a maker of outdoor sports clothing and gear, passionately pursues environmental preservation. Its strong environmental commitment influences employees' work actions and decisions in areas from product design to marketing to shipping. In addition, Patagonia gives 10% of its profits to support environmental causes and actively seeks to educate its customers and suppliers about environmental issues. The company lives and practices values. So basically, this is their own value. They try as much as possible to be environmental friendly with their production. And what they try to do is to always keep their suppliers and even their customers up to date on how they get their raw materials and the rest of it. So basically, you can see that they are trying to, their value, they are also trying to carry their customers and suppliers along. So it's a kind of, you know, value-based management where there is a shared value. They've been able to, you know, inculcate all parties into their organization and letting them know that this is what they stand for. Environmentally, we want to secure, you know, the environment. So these are the things that we are doing. So this is a shared value, and obviously people that support them, you know, would appreciate them, and, you know, and the organization, the employees, the suppliers, the customers, everybody understands, you know, the value, the shared value of this organization. So for any company that believes in and practices value-based management, the shared corporate values serve many purposes. So that's it. So we need to be able to share your value, you know, among your employees, among your customer suppliers, so they know what you stand for. They know that this particular company, they stand for the truth. This is what they use. For instance, if they say they are going to use 100% cotton, it's a textile industry, this is what they use. Do you understand? Not that they use 50% cotton and 50% polyester. No, that you are not being, your values are wrong. Do you understand? So if you have to say this is what you use, you know, it goes a long way by saying it, and, you know, your customers and everybody understand, you know, your value. So we move on to the next slide, which is purposes of shared values. And for this, value-based management, purposes of shared values. So they said the values that organizational members share serve at least 4 main purposes. So for this, the values that organizational members, you know, employees, employers, they share, they actually serve 4 main purposes. The first purpose of shared value is that they act as guideposts for managerial decision and action. So basically, this is a good one because for shared values, one of the purposes that they act as a guide. Yes. So people are they actually know what they need to do. They are already conformed with the values of the organization. They already know that this is what the organization stands for. You cannot go and you cannot do anything contrary to what the organization believes in. So this is the first sign. There is a guidepost, you know, for decision making. You know, if a decision is being taken, or if there's something or at the pipeline that they need to take an urgent decision, they would obviously ask for, you know, the values of the organization to say, okay, this is what the organization stands for. Are these things in line with the organization value? And if it's a no, then, you know, they don't adopt it. And if it's a yes, and definitely they adopt it. So it is a guidepost, you know, for managerial decision and action. So we have an example here. They say at Thumbs of Maine, a maker of all natural personal care products, the statement of belief guides managers as they plan, organize, lead, and control organizational activities. So yes, this is another, you know, good example, because like I said, it is the value. What does the organization stand for? That is what will make you, that will guide your decision making for that organization. For instance, now if I'm going to say an organization stands for let me use a food company, let me use KFC, and they say, oh, our organization stands for crispy chicken, because obviously KFC is known for their chicken and all that stuff, and crispy chicken. And maybe at one point in time, you maybe, for instance, they want to take a decision to say, okay, we want to make another kind of chicken and all that stuff. But, you know, people know KFC because of that crispy chicken and all that stuff. So if they go contrary to that value, or trying to change the recipe, not even changing the recipe, of trying to do something that, you know, they are not known for, it's them going out of, you know, what they believe in or what they stand for, what they've been able to portray. So, you know, this is an example. So it would always guide, you know, organizations in terms of products, in terms of so many things, you know, introducing so many things into the market. So that shared value guidepost for decisional making is one of the purposes of shared value. So another purpose of shared value is the impact they have on shaping employees' behavior and communicating with what the management expects of its member. So yes, the value of every organization actually shapes the thoughts of the employees, the thoughts, the way they think and the way they communicate. So if the values are not being shared, obviously they start to behave anyhow, and it might not be in line with what the organization is actually believes in. So a shared value also helps. That's why if you are going into an organization, they would always do induction for new members. And why do they do the induction? It's not just because they just want to do it to meet you. They want to share their core values, to the newly inducted employees, to say this is what we believe in, this is how we do it and all that. So he or she carries that at the back of their mind, that this is what the organization believes and this is what they stand for. So we have an example here, and they said employers at Herman Miller, which manufactures office, residential, and healthcare furniture, practice company values as they design, manufacture, and ship furniture around the world. What are those company values? The company values are innovation and uncompromising quality, participative management, and environmental stewardship. So this just got me here, uncompromising quality. Yes, these are their values. They cannot do anything less for their customers. They will not compromise over the standards of the organization. Everything has to be of quality. So if it's something that is not of quality, obviously the thing would not stand as part of their values, because part of their shared value is it has to meet standard. They don't have to compromise the quality. The quality has to be of high quality, So those are, another aspect of shared values. They have to impact the way employees behave and the way they communicate. And another purpose is shared corporate values also influence marketing efforts. Yes. So we have an example here. They said a company in the US is committed to educating women about breast cancer. The support for this program came about after the company asked women what their number one health concern was, and breast cancer was the answer. So this is something that, when you share value, corporate values, and you extend it to customers, and the survey is being carried out, you can use that to influence your marketing efforts. You already know that this is what women, they knew what that cancer, was breast cancer was one of the things that, women, talked about in terms of health issues. And, they were able to capitalize on this, and what they did was to start sharing awareness, giving talks and all that stuff to women. So obviously when women see this, it's also drawing, a market attention for this particular, industry. So your shared values can also, influence your marketing efforts. So we move on to the last one, which talks about shared values are a way to build team spirit in organization. Yes, when you have employees knowing about the value system, it builds team spirit. When they embrace that corporate value, they develop a deeper, personal commitment to their work and feel obliged, to take responsibilities for their actions. So basically, these are the four main purpose of shared values. So we move on to the next slide, which is developing shared values. And for developing shared values is basically this process actually involves a commitment by everyone in the organization, It requires teamwork and defining the company's mission and objective and strategy. So basically, this developing that shared value, it's not easy to actually develop, a shared corporate value. So, but, at the end of the day, it helps everyone. That team spirit is there. That commitment is there. So when you develop that shared value, you have all this in you. You want to be committed to your job, you want to be committed to the organization because you people are sharing the same value. So basically this, is how one actually develops the aspect of shared value. So we have an example here, and even before we go to the example, and it says this developing shared values actually requires teamwork and defining the company's mission and objectives and strategies. So once these are being developed, obviously the missions and objectives, strategies of this company would actually be aligned. So at terms of name, the process involves everyone in the company, all the employees working in groups of 4 to 6 took a hard look at defining who are we and what are we about. But the commitment by Tom's employees to developing shared value did not just stop there. They realized that those shared values actually mattered. They began to understand that they were part of a unique corporate culture in which values shape the business strategy. Yes. So the value was able to shape the strategies. So companies that live and practice value-based management have accepted a broad perspective regarding their commitment to being socially responsible and socially responsive. So we've come to the end of lesson 7, and values are, an important aspect to the study of organizations because they have that foundation for understanding people's attitudes and motivation. They know what motivates them. And so values generally influence attitudes and behavior. At individual levels, values represent things that are important to a person. At organizational level, values represent and shape what an organization is out to achieve. So basically, in summary, we just know that values are actually things, that, shaping the mindsets, of individuals to what is good or what is bad. It's their belief, and we stated, we have the 2 types of value: determinant, which actually refers to desirable end states, and there are goals that a person or organization would always want to pursue and achieve. These are long-term goals. And we have the instrumental, which reflects the means to achieve goals. So basically, these are all we have to do concerning the value system. So I don't know if anyone has any question, and if you have any question, you can always send me a message via email, and I would humbly reply as soon as I get your message. So in summary, we have learned, the meaning of value system, the value-based management, the purpose of shared value, and lastly, the developing shared values. It's time to go. So basically, we'll just do like a few recaps. And, we talked about the meaning of the value system. I don't know if there's anyone that would actually want to explain what the value system is, or value-based management, or give us, an explanation to what the purpose of shared values are. And if there's no one, so like I said, you can always send me messages. So please don't forget to attempt, the questions on our discussion forum. Try as much as possible to, give it a try, and I would try as much as possible to also reply, to all those wonderful answers, because sometimes I I go through it and I see a lot of you are putting so much effort. So keep up the good work and continue to do what you know how to do best. So basically it's bye for now. So I'll see you next week by God's grace. So thank you so much for coming to class. It's me, your humble facilitator. So it's bye for now. Take care.